Hey there, welcome back. Today, I just wanted to sit down here with you and do a casual little video and talk to you about something that has been on my mind a lot, which is the subject of grief. So this is going to be a little bit of a heavier topic than some of my videos, which are often quite lighthearted and maybe even a little silly in the ASMR sense. But I just think it's really important this time of year during the holiday season, in the midst of all the celebratory stuff and all of the sort of sparkly hubbub that gets thrown around at this time of year, to take time to recognize that there are a lot of elements to the season that can actually be really hard on our hearts and that can be difficult to manage. So I promise this won't be a depressing video. I want to just really have some honest time together here to acknowledge what I know a lot of us are experiencing, and I want to share a little bit about my own experiences during the holiday season with sadness and grief and loneliness and loss and those kinds of difficult feelings. And then we'll do a practice together, an embodiment practice that can help us make a little space for those feelings and hopefully feel a little bit of relief in our bodies when those kinds of emotions come up, to help them from being too overwhelming. So I'll put a timestamp if you want to skip ahead to the practice or if you want to come back to it later on. So I have my water here with me. Again, I just wanted to be really real and casual with you today. I also brought a box of tissues with me, just in case I end up needing them as I talk about this topic. But for me, I think the biggest thing about this element of the holidays is that anytime there's a potential for a lot of joy and a lot of love and a lot of connection, which can happen at the holidays in the best of circumstances, then there's also that flip side of a lot of nostalgia and sadness and missing people who aren't here with us during this time anymore. There are just a lot of things that we might be grieving. So just to acknowledge some of these things, if any of them might be the case for you, we might be grieving people, like I said, who aren't in our lives anymore, people who have died, or people who are far away from us, or people who are not in our lives anymore, either just because of circumstance or because maybe we had to make a decision to not have somebody in our life, but that doesn't mean that feelings might not come up of missing them or noticing that space where they used to be. We might be missing pets. I'm definitely missing Hazel this year, even though we have the joy of Foxy and of Yorichi, our cat, in our lives. I really, really miss Hazel because she was with us last holiday season, and that ended up being her last Christmas with us. And of course, I didn't know then that that would be the case. So I've been thinking about her a lot. And we could be grieving just situations that are different, things that aren't the way they used to be in the past, or things that we wish might be different. There are a lot of things in the world that can bring up grief right now, where we feel sad about situations of other people or global situations that seem insurmountable and beyond our control and just are bringing a lot of suffering to other people, and that can be hard to hold that in our own hearts. especially this time of year, I think. And then something else that I've been experiencing, particularly last year and this year, is what I'm calling preemptive grief, which is where I'm thinking about what it will be like in the future when I have lost someone, if that makes sense. Like last year, even though we didn't know, of course, for sure, how long Hazel would continue to live, she was getting older and having some health issues. And so last holiday season, I was thinking about, well, what will it be like someday when I don't have her? And I've also started to think a lot about people I love. I'm really fortunate that I still have both of my parents living, but I know I won't have them forever. And even with Justin, because of everything we went through with his mental health crisis, that really brought to a head for me that everything is temporary and things can change really quickly, and that someday I will lose him or he will lose me. That kind of a loss is just part of being human and part of being connected to people and loving people. And I always say I wouldn't want to have a life where I didn't love anybody and didn't care about anybody and nobody cared about me. And, we're getting into Ebenezer Scrooge territory there. That's not the kind of life any of us wants to live. But by caring about people and animals and things in this world, that means we are going to have loss. And last year, when I was having pretty bad panic attacks during December, a lot of it was coming from that, because there were some people that I had lost in my life, some friends that I knew years and years ago but hadn't been in contact with, who had passed away, and that just really upset me and really got me kind of into this spiral about the fact that life is impermanent and that nothing lasts forever. And I have to tell this little side story because I just thought of it, that my little niece, who is 3 years old and so incredibly insightful about life, the other day my sister was like cleaning things out of the fridge, I think, and got something out that she was going to put in the compost or throw away, and said, well, why are you doing that? Why are you getting rid of that, Mama? And she said, well, because things don't last forever. And my niece looked at her and said, oh, like how Hazel didn't last forever? She just has this poignancy from her little perspective about life. And that is one of the things as a human that it's just really hard to swallow sometimes, that things don't last forever. And I'm so thankful that she got to know Hazel and can remember Hazel, and that will be part of her memories of her early life. But I just think in our culture, and I'm speaking personally from my personal experience here, we just don't leave a lot of room for grief or for loss. We don't leave a lot of room for that impermanence and recognizing it. We like to focus on, more and filling things in and not ever having any empty space. And when something is lost or is gone, there's this push to get over it and to move on and to not dwell on loss. And I just think that is really sad and really does us a disservice when we don't take time to acknowledge that there is loss, that there is loneliness, that there is this emptiness that comes when things that we have cared about are no longer there. And I'm really just speaking from my heart here. I hope this makes sense. But what I just want to say to all of you is, if you are in that kind of place at this time, if you're feeling lonely, if you're feeling sad, if you are missing someone, if there is an emptiness in you, I just want you to know that I see you and that you are not alone in that. And that it doesn't always come as this all-consuming thing. Sometimes we can still be having the joy and the fun and the pleasure of the holiday season, and we can be, having a good time, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, something will hit us. Something will remind us of something from the past, or some situation will come up, and then suddenly we're sad and we're nostalgic and we're emotional. And all of that is okay. You are okay. And whatever you are feeling is normal and fine and human. If you are missing someone, if you're feeling like you can't enjoy the holiday season because someone isn't there with you, if you're feeling like you are enjoying the holiday season and then you feel guilty because how could you be enjoying it? How could you be having any kind of happiness in your life without this person? That's something that I feel like ebbs and flows a lot. That sort of grief of missing someone and then guilt about moving on with our lives, which is, of course, natural, and grief will always go back and forth like that. If you're feeling angry at someone for leaving you and not being here, if you're feeling angry at the world for letting whatever has happened happen, if you feel that kind of rage against reality and not wanting things to be the way they are, that is all normal. That is all a part of grief. And again, that is something that will ebb and flow. And I think that's the important thing with all of these emotions, is to know that they are temporary. As overwhelming as emotions feel, each emotion rises and then falls and is constantly changing. And so I think if we can acknowledge the emotions as they come up, give them some space, not push them away, and let them flow through us, but hopefully not let them overtake us, that's the best way to manage this difficult job that we have of being human, which it is tough sometimes. Don't let anybody tell you that it's not. It is tricky to be a human being with human emotions and feelings and relationships and all the complexities of life that we have. And again, I think there can be a lot of messages about, oh, just be thankful for what you have and be positive and, don't let things get you down, and all of that kind of stuff. I think often comes from a place of trying to help, but the reality is we are not going to be happy all the time. We are not going to feel upbeat and uplifted all of the time. It's a natural human thing to have both, to hold the joy and hold the sorrow. And I think another thing about the holidays is that anytime there's a potential, maybe I already said this in a different way, but anytime there's a potential for great joy, then the potential for great sadness also goes up, and vice versa. And we don't want to block out either of those things. If we block out the grief, then we don't leave room for the joy to come in. And those things have to coexist in our lives. And so again, I'm not a psychologist, I'm not a doctor, I'm not an expert on any of these things at all. And I really encourage you that if you are really struggling with depression or anxiety or panic or any of those kind of feelings, that you seek out some professional support and have the tools and the resources there for you that you need, because that's really important. Taking care of yourself is critically important. If you're going to take care of anyone else in life, it really is true that you have to take care of yourself. So seek those things out that can help you. And then on a more personal scale, just do your best to be kind to yourself. Give yourself a break. Know that you're not a machine and you can't just go around like a robot acting like everything's perfect all the time, because it isn't. And we wouldn't want it to be. We wouldn't want life to be, some sort of automatic, lifeless thing where we didn't feel what we needed to feel. And so I just want to express care from my heart to your heart and let you know that I am thinking about you. I am holding this community that we have here in this nice little ASMR space. I am holding all of you in my heart. I am holding space for you, and I don't know what you're going through individually, and I certainly can't fix anything that's going on in your life that needs repair or needs attention, but I can share love with you, and we can all share love with each other, and we can really bring that intention of love and care and respect for each other into this season. And that's what I think is most important. So please take the time you need to rest. If there are things you need to say no to or pull back from, if there are expectations around what you have to do for the holiday season that are weighing on you and making you not feel good, then please, to whatever extent you can, take care of yourself, set the boundaries you need to set. It is okay. The people who care about you want you to be well. They don't want you to run yourself ragged and make yourself sick. They want you to have the rest that you need. They want you to feel good. That's what love is. People who love you want the best for you. And I want you to want the best for you too, because you deserve it. So that's my little talk about grief and sadness during the holiday season. Again, my biggest message to you is that whatever you're feeling is okay. You're not a weirdo. You're not doing things wrong. You're not messing up anybody else's holiday or ruining anything by feeling the way you feel. Even if the way you feel is messy and contradictory and changes from moment to moment, that is all okay, and you are okay, and you are a good person, and you are doing the very best that you can, and I am proud of you for just going through each day and being you. You are valuable and lovable and irreplaceable. That is what I always like to say to you because it is the truth. You are important, and I want you to remember that. So I thought to finish up this video, we could do a little practice together, an embodiment practice, because something that has really been helping me during this season and all the different emotions that come up, and I have been doing better this season. I'm not having kind of the panic attacks and things that I was last season. And, the one other thing I did want to say, I'm going to keep this rambly. The one other thing I did want to say is that I think a reason I've been feeling things more acutely these last 2 seasons is because I've really made some changes in my life where I am no longer numbing out my feelings. In the past, and particularly during the holiday season, I think I would numb out a lot of my feelings with alcohol, with cannabis, with busyness, with keeping myself so occupied with doing things and being productive and, trying to do all the holiday things that I didn't leave room for what I was really feeling. And as I have stripped away some of those things these last 2 years that I used to use to numb myself, not surprisingly, there's a lot more emotion there. There are a lot of things that I was pushing down and suppressing before that are now coming to the light. And so I'm really grateful and proud of myself, honestly, that I have learned about and developed new tools and new ways that I can take care of myself and that I can resource myself without having to numb out. That I can do things to help myself relax, help myself get grounded, calm down, feel better, but still let the emotions be there, not try to erase them or pretend they're not there, because they will come back. You can't just eradicate your feelings. They will stay in your body, and eventually they will need attention. So if you are also a person who is perhaps on a journey to stop numbing out and to let yourself be more aware of who you are and where you are, then I really give you my support and my love and my encouragement in that. And that is something that, maybe just might be something to think about. Are there ways that I'm numbing myself out and pushing things away instead of letting myself really be with what's going on with myself? And you want to do this in little doses. You want to be kind to yourself. You want to really have patience with yourself and whatever tools, whatever things you might have been doing in the past. You don't want to berate yourself for that. This isn't about punishing yourself or telling yourself how you messed up so much in the past. This is about accepting yourself because you did the best you could at the time with who you were and what you had. I say this to myself all the time so that I don't get caught up in being hard on myself about decisions of the past. I did the best I could at that time with who I was and what I had. And now I am in a different place. I am a new version of me. I've changed things. I'm in a more present place with myself. And now I have new things that I can do to help myself and nourish myself. And I hope you will do those things to help yourself and nourish yourself as well. So, okay, that was one more element I wanted to talk about. Now we really will get into the practice. Because something that has been helping me when the grief or the sadness or the fear come up is that our brains have all these stories, right, that they attach to our emotions. When we have the feelings, then our brains start going on these long, rambly things of all the things that could happen and what will happen in the future and what happened in the past. And that's where, for me, the anxiety and the panic starts to come from, is my brain just going into overdrive about things. So what I've found can be helpful is a very simple, but sometimes not easy to do practice of feeling the emotions in my body instead of getting caught up in my head. So, for example, if I suddenly start feeling really sad about something, and that's usually because something has come into my mind, I'm thinking about a person or a situation, and it's making me feel sad, instead of going down the path of overthinking about that particular situation, I will say to myself, what am I feeling in my body? How does this sadness feel in my body? Where is the sadness in my body? And sometimes it might be in my stomach. I might think to myself, I feel my stomach clenching, or I feel tears coming up behind my eyes. I feel a heat in my body. I feel kind of a shakiness or an unsteadiness in my body, or my back hurts all of a sudden. I feel achy and tense, trying to see what that emotion feels like in your body. And sometimes if we can do that just for a few minutes, that allows that emotion to express itself, and then it can release from the body. And not that it won't come back again in a different form at a different time, But rather than trying to get rid of the emotions or pretend they're not there, we can give them a moment and experience them and then move on. So if you want to try this with me, totally optional, of course. If you want, you can just listen through first to what I am doing and then see if you might want to come back and try it later. We're basically going to do just a little few minutes of feeling into our bodies and seeing what we feel. And if you don't feel like you're up for this right now, if you don't want to go to that place, that is perfectly fine. You can just take care of yourself. That is always the most important thing. But if you'd like, you can kind of come into a comfortable seat, or if you're laying down, wherever you are, just let yourself feel into your body a little bit. Say, hello, body. How are you doing? And you can close your eyes if you want to, but that's totally optional. Sometimes keeping your eyes open and staying aware of your surroundings can help you feel more grounded. And if you feel up for it, let's take a nice deep breath together and release. And then we're going to bring our attention down into our feet and our lower body. Just see how your feet are feeling. Remind yourself that you have a connection to the earth, that you have a connection to stability and groundedness. If you're laying down, you can bring your attention into your back, whatever is touching a surface right now, your legs, however you're sitting, something that's coming into contact with your chair or your bed or the floor. And just focus on that point of contact, noticing that you are supported, that something is holding you up. Gravity is keeping you in place on this earth, and you do have support beneath you. Beautiful, good job. So just feeling into that support. Again, maybe bringing your attention into the back of your body, and then down, 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 down into the legs and feet. Back and down can help us feel grounded and secure and help us from feeling like we're flying away or moving forward too quickly. Okay, so if this feels good, just to stay in this little moment of support, you can certainly just do that. If you want to take the next step, and this feels doable for right now, you can bring into your mind just a little bit something that you've been feeling sad about, or something that's been making you feel lonely, or something you've been feeling grief about, whether that's a person or a situation. And you don't have to bring in the whole thing. If you can just bring in 1% of that feeling and allow yourself to think about it for a moment. And then rather than getting caught up in the story and the details of the situation or following whatever path of spiraling thinking you might usually follow, I want you to bring your attention into your body. So if you're feeling grief, really try to notice in your body, what does the grief feel like in my body? It's not what am I thinking about, it's what are the physical sensations in my body right now. Do you feel heat or warmth anywhere? Do you feel tingling? Do you feel pain or tightness? Do you feel a tension? Is there anything in any particular part of your body that you are feeling. Where is the sadness or the grief or the loneliness or the fear? Where is it in your body? And what does it feel like? So we're not going to stay here for very long. If it gets to be too much, then just open your eyes, move your body around, and step away from this practice. But if you can stick with it for a little while and just see what happens, and the feeling in your body might move around, you can just kind of follow that motion, follow the breadcrumbs of what does this grief feel like in my body. And if it gets to be too much, you can come back to that grounded feeling of your seat against the chair, of your back against your bed, of the earth holding you up. You are supported, and I am here with you in this moment. You are safe and you are okay. And we'll spend just a few more minutes here, just a couple of minutes, sitting with whatever we might be feeling and feeling it in the body. So one more time, let your mind kind of turn down the volume on your thoughts and listen instead to what you are feeling in my body, in your body, and what I'm feeling in my body is what I'm going to focus on. I might say, I feel heat behind my eyes. I feel a churniness in my stomach. I feel a twitchiness in my skin. Whatever it might be for you, I'm going to give you a little bit of quiet time to feel into it, and then I'll call you back in a minute, and we'll ground again together and close this practice. And remember, you can always come back to that feeling of connection to the earth. The earth is holding you in whatever you might be feeling, and whatever you are feeling is okay. Good job. I'm really proud of you. So taking another moment here, if there's anything else you'd like to notice in your body, maybe say a little thank you to your body, maybe say a little I love you to yourself. And then if your eyes are closed, you can gently open them. Maybe look around the room where you are, orient yourself in your space. You can give yourself some touch if you'd like to. I actually meant to say you could do that during the practice as well. You can give yourself some touch. That can also help you feel grounded as you sit with your emotions. And then as you're ready, you can just come back to the screen, come back to me here, and know that we're together and that you did a great job. So however that went for you, if it was helpful, if maybe it was a little bit overwhelming, if it was a little bit scary, whatever your experience was, I'm proud of you for trying it. And this is just something that you might come back to, and you can just come back to it in the moment. And you can do it when you're feeling happy too. If you're feeling happy and joyful and grateful in a particular moment, or if you're feeling sad and upset, instead of letting your mind race and get you more and more hyped up and upset, you can take a moment and say to yourself, what does this emotion feel like in my body? Where am I feeling this in my body? And what does it feel like? And by describing those feelings in your body to yourself, sometimes that can bring a little bit of relief and bring you a little bit more calm and bring you back to yourself and help in a moment that might be kind of overwhelming or feeling like too much. So I like this feeling right now of brushing my arms. So I'm going to keep doing this, I think. And again, I thank you for having this conversation with me, being here in this moment. And if you are dealing with something right now, with grief or with sadness, and you want to share it in the comments, if you feel comfortable doing that, please do. I would like this to be a space for doing that. And I would be happy to read your comments and respond to you with my love and support. Like I said, I can't fix anything. I can't solve anything for you. But I can give you my care and the intention of my heart. And that's what this little ASMR community is all about, at least to me. And if it's not something you feel like sharing about in the comments, just know that I am thinking about you, and I am wishing you well, and I am sending you love. So do take good care of yourself, my friends. You deserve it. Rest well, and I will see you again soon.